Welcome to the Friendly Fire Show, episode 141 for the second day of E3 press conferences. I'm editor-in-chief of Stevivor, Steve Wright, and with me...
Yeah, hey, I'm Stuart. I am the senior editor slash... I don't even know anymore, actually. What's my title, Steve?
That'll work. Just all-around cool dude.
No, I heard you saying yesterday that everyone's going to get new titles, and if I get to nominate my own... No, I'm going to have to start brainstorming.
Jay and Luke were new, so they were just editors, but I think everybody's senior now, and I'm kind of cutting him off. So, other guy, who are you?
I'm Luke. I'm here. I'm also an editor, or senior editor. Did I just get promoted?
You got promoted. Yes. First, before we start, congratulations to Luke on, surprise wedding. Well done to you and your wife. And because really, Stuart, you haven't been on the podcast ever, belated congratulations to you and your wife for having a baby.
Thank you. Yes, it's been a wonderful 12 weeks and 5 days and 11 hours. But who's counting?
Do you have any advice for newly married man who's totally going to have a baby tomorrow, right, Luke? Yeah.
That's definitely not happening.
No, they're wonderful. They're bundles of joy.
And also congrats to Luke for an upcoming move to San Francisco, where if we can, we will definitely put you to work doing stuff in America where we don't have to fly from Australia.
Yeah, that should be cool. I've spoken to a couple people and they seem very keen. So we should get some cool access, hopefully.
Nice.
Man, the international branch is opening.
It'll save people some flight costs, I reckon. So if you listened last night or yesterday or today, I don't even know what day it is anymore. We covered Bethesda, Microsoft, EA. Today we're going to kind of focus on Ubisoft, the PC Game Show, and Square Enix. And then because it's probably going to be a little light, we'll try to keep this to about an hour. We might kind of throw back to you two and see what you thought of day one, because you didn't ever get a chance to talk about it. But moving right into stuff, Watch Dogs Legion was probably the coolest bit of Ubisoft's press conference, I would say. Old lady spy woman for the win. Anyone?
Yeah, I was surprised how cool I found that whole Watch Dogs thing. Like, I'm pretty over the Ubisoft formula of game, but man, I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Watch Dogs. I think that initial reveal got pretty hyped up, like back in the day before the Xbox One was announced and that sort of stuff. But I think they're still good games. Like, they're not terrible. And the whole premise of this, like, being any character that you kind of want to be, is really interesting to me.
It's a weird mix between you want to identify and make a connection with the character, but also it's just permadeath and you can't have that connection, unless you never take a risk. And then everyone maybe becomes disposable. So it's going to be a weird balance, I think. And I hope it kind of works out correctly and it gives you the kind of gratification you're looking for.
Right. Yeah, I'm really interested to sort of see how they I guess we saw a little bit in the demo of what actually happens when you fail a mission, and how do you get back to that mission? How does it branch off, and sort of how does the game evolve as you keep playing it? That's the bits that I kind of am interested to see more of.
Yeah,
I'm really hoping that because they can't really do their character building or do their story with characters anymore, it's really going to be on the world and the world building and the grander narrative that they put into there. So hopefully that the post-Brexit / London falling storyline can carry the heavy load there.
I think there's a couple NPC, or not NPCs. Well, I guess they are NPCs. One of them is anyway. There's that Naomi character who was in that kind of extended cutscene where she's trying to recruit someone at a bar. I feel like well, that's weird because they said you can recruit anyone. So I don't know if she's an NPC that helps drive some narrative and you can't actually recruit her because she's, cutscene fodder for when they need to do some narrative. So just a player character, I guess, somehow. But they've also built up the AI character whose name I forget. I'm just going to call him Jarvis because why not Avengers? And he seems to have a lot of personality that'll kind of take some of that load, I feel.
Yeah, I also got to think that they when you get a game like this, the first thing you want to do is just like pick it apart, pick at the seams, see exactly where they've where the magic is, where they what tricks they've used, and people are going to do that straight away here, and it might take some of the shine off this from early on. Like if they can pull this off, it'll be super impressive. But there's going to be shortcuts that they take, and like within 6 hours of the internet getting a hold of this, it's going to be like there's only 7 old ladies in this game,
and I will find them all and recruit them all, and I will protect them with my life. They told Kotaku that if you kill someone who's married, they'll start going to like the cemetery to mourn their loved one, and then like eventually they might kind of start consider dating again. Like they're saying that every character in the world has a daily routine and a schedule, and like that just kind of seems like one of those boasts that seems cool, but I don't know if they're going to be able to actually fulfill that.
Right. Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
What I'll say is I thought one thing that was really surprising was that they like willed out Clint Hawking to to be like, hey, I'm the one that's working on this. Who is for people that don't know, was the creative director of some amazing games like Far Cry 2, Splinter Cell, I think 1 and 2 and 3. Well, he made a bunch of them at least.
Yeah, and the innovation that he had in like Far Cry 2, I mean, a lot of it didn't work or was like kind of awkward to play, but it gives me a lot of hope that if he takes that kind of attitude to something as big as like an open world London Watch Dogs game, like there could be something really special here.
And you can tell they kind of just gave him the keys to the franchise. Like here's the tenets, but like do what you will. So like London is suddenly like this crazy dictatorship kind of thing with killer robots floating around in the air and stuff. I like the kind of changes to the formula. It's not just kind of like, oh, we're this like silent resistance, like the resistance is everywhere and you can recruit anyone. I think it's a cool kind of change. I think we should move on though. Ghost Recon Breakpoint was... What do they do with it? They kind of just brought out John Bernthal and said, hey, here's a dog. It's not Keanu Reeves, but like it's close. Maybe that'll do. They talked about a beta that's happening ahead of release. If you want to read a preview of the game, Ben previewed it. Like I'm excited for Breakpoint because I like Wildlands, but like there wasn't a lot that I was kind of... Like there's not a lot of memorable stuff from Breakpoint's E3 2019 stuff for me, but maybe I'm wrong. You guys tell me.
Sure. Did Ben, like, what's Ben's impressions? Because I actually haven't had a chance to read it. I've been a bit busy. But like I like the premise, and I like the main actor they've got. He's amazing in like everything he does. But to me, this being a sequel to Wildlands, it doesn't feel like it. So did he get much out of it at all?
He was nice to it, I think. And like I'm putting words in his mouth, but I think when you're excited about a game and you're previewing it at E3, like I think that kind of comes across in a preview. And I think the one that he wrote is kind of just like it ticks the boxes. It's a Ghost Recon game. Good for it. I don't think really Breakpoint's up Ben's alley. Like it's not really up mine either. I'd like Wildlands, but I wouldn't play it that often. Same thing for Siege. I get that Siege is well designed and like is good for people who like that kind of thing. So like there's nothing really to fault, but I don't think there's a lot to be like super excited about if you're not that kind of player, if that makes sense.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm still super keen to see more.
Yeah.
I just don't know what it is.
Sorry, Stu, I cut you off.
Yeah, it's funny. Like Ubi has actually like kind of earned a fair bit of trust on these things, like fixing games with the long tail and just like adding content to them. So, you've got to give them some benefit of the doubt here, but like this didn't really, didn't tickle me very much.
I'm really glad they didn't come out and say, hey, there's 52-player battle royale. Like, what the hell?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's on the roadmap.
Something that was kind of disappointing, unfortunately, was the return of Splinter Cell's Sam Fisher, but as a character in a mobile game called Tom Clancy's Elite Squad. And that almost is as much as I want to say about this game, but maybe you guys have some thoughts either way.
Fart noise.
I didn't really get a grasp of what type of game. It seems like a tactical some sort of tactical
It's
strategy
called
game.
a fast
Other than that,
military
I don't know what
role-playing
it is.
game, which I don't quite get. Yeah.
Right.
It's a mobile game that I'm not going to play. I might download to see what it looks like and then immediately just drop off. And even like the aesthetic of it, everyone's kind of like blocky as if they were like the Paul Dini like DC cartoons of the 90s, like with a really square features. Like it just, they don't look good either. It's like a dated design and a mobile game that I don't want to play. Smash that. Moving on to another Tom Clancy's game, maybe then. The Division 2 Year 1 was sort of detailed. They talked about 3 episodes. The second will bring an 8-player raid. They didn't talk about any kind of matchmaking. I thought they would, actually. They made this huge deal about, like, you guys have been asking for it. We're going to do it. And then they started talking about a Division movie on Netflix instead of like raid matchmaking. So it all looks really good. It was one of those things, again, like it looks competent, but I wasn't super excited about it. I don't know if you guys
going back to New York. I guess that was like the big reveal, right? Is it looks like it's going to be sort of tying into the events of the first game.
Yeah, I didn't quite. Is that the one that's like the manhunt? Like you have to manhunt him back to New York? I kind of didn't quite get it when they were talking about it.
Yeah, that's kind of what it seems like. But that's probably a ways off still.
Do you guys play the Division 2 still?
No.
No. I really like it. I think it's really good. There's just been a lot of other things going on. I never got a chance to go check out that raid, but I got up to like World
That's what
2,
I got up to too. And then I kind of ran out of stuff to do without like being super invested in it. So maybe some content injections will change our minds. A Rainbow Six game that I'm really excited for, though, is Rainbow Six Quarantine. And I'm probably excited about it because it's like a non-competitive version of Rainbow Six with the co-op shooter stuff, but it's also a sci-fi game, and I'm super excited for it. It looks like Rainbow Six plus Alien, and I'm down.
Yeah. And hey, as a co-op game, you can still have somebody yelling at you and telling you how much you suck.
Right. Did you actually play Quarantine last time it released?
No.
You didn't check it out?
I should have. Damn.
So it's basically like a Left 4 Dead clone, but with the Rainbow Six Siege operators, which was, at the time, we thought it was really weird because it was good enough to be like a game mode that was in there permanently, but they were like, no, we're going to remove it in a month. And they spent a lot of time putting this thing together, which when they announced it, I thought was quite strange. But now that they've kind of spun it off into its own thing, that's pretty cool because I really enjoyed what they did with that game. So if this Quarantine like separate thing kind of touches on the things that other sort of themed event was able to do, then I think it'll be really good.
Yeah, I'm pretty psyched for this, really. Like, Left 4 Dead mixed with Rainbow Six, that sounds like something I will really enjoy. Like, I played the heck out of Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2, and kind of been looking for something like that as a co-op experience ever since. So, yeah, this is really exciting.
And I'm kind of I like the Tom Clancy games, but at a certain point, there's too much like procedural military kind of stuff going on for me. So if there's a bit of a sci-fi slant to it, I think I'll probably enjoy it a bit more. But that's just me. We're flying through this, which is good. The Ubisoft Pass, which we thought was a thing, isn't a thing, but it's pretty close because it's actually called Uplay Plus, but it's not like plus the word, it's plus the symbol, like Apple Plus, just to make it annoying. It's a Ubisoft version of a Xbox Game Pass or an EA Access. It's PC exclusive, but will come to Stadia in 2020. It's priced at €14.99 per month, which is weird. They don't have any pricing that I've seen apart from the Euro pricing. And if you sign up before a certain point in August, maybe the 15th or something, you get your first month for free. It kicks off in September, and you get access to like a library of 100 games and early access to upcoming games and stuff like that. It's, to me, just another subscription service that I don't want to have to pay for.
That sounds so expensive. €15, what's that going to be, like 25 Australian? Like even 20 or 15 Australian is asking a whole lot, especially when every man and his dog has a subscription service now. Like I'm just about tapped out. I'm at like $100 a month in subscriptions right now. And Xbox Live Ultimate has to go on top of that. Like, no thanks.
So I'm a no. You sound like you're a no.
I think
Sorry,
that's okay. No, I was just going to say that I think that like it also depends on how quickly they can roll out the games in this library, because they've talked about like, oh, the Division 2 will be in there, but what about their upcoming games? Like, how long will it take for them to sort of wheel those into the library? Is it going to be 6 months, or will it be?
It seems like straight away.
on the day.
They gave a list after the conference of upcoming games, and they had Breakpoint. They had I can't think of any other game right now. Quarantine. They had all the upcoming Ubisoft games like in the list of available games. And they're talking about early access and about like ultimate
price.
editions and stuff. So you get like some bonuses that you'd get outside the standard edition, but it's still like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's looking at like what, $200 a year, something like that, maybe more. I don't spend that much on Ubisoft games.
And the weird thing, I guess, about this. Sorry, go ahead, Luke.
I mean, oh no, I was just gonna say that, like, I guess it depends on how many games you buy from them, right? If you're the type of person that plays Rainbow Six and the latest Ghost Recon or whatever they've got coming out, then you might end up actually saving money from it.
The Stadia thing is the thing that really confuses me the most. Kind of getting into some Stadia stuff, I guess now. It's like a subscription to be able to stream to your device of choice, I guess. Well, not really, because right now it's limited to like Google handsets and like Chromecast. But eventually, you'll be able to stream to whatever you want. So you pay for that subscription. Then if you want to do the Uplay Plus thing, you have to pay for that subscription. You don't own a game, so if you lapse on one, you're kind of screwed for the other. Like, I can't really wrap my head around it to begin with, but I'm also not crazy about where the future is heading for games. I guess the same thing that I'm not crazy about where like subscriptions are happening for like every publisher and their dog, like with TV and movies and stuff.
Yeah, I am afeared for this dark future of games. Like with Australian internet, considering we just rolled out the NBN and it's probably not good enough for what like Stadia is asking, and how long until they redo that infrastructure? Like 20 years? Like games could leave us behind. Like we could be the Brazil of video games in 10 years' time if streaming all takes off and we're left behind. So, you know, that I was really happy. Yeah, so like I was really happy Xbox came out and was just like, hey, this box is a beast. We've gone beast technology. So we've at least got another generation where discs and downloads are the way to go.
When do you guys think we'll get Stadia? Just randomly. So it's coming out in 14 regions in November. Australia is not one of those for probably obvious reasons. When do you think we will get it?
2020.
Yeah, like late 2020, maybe early 2021. It doesn't make much sense financially for them to roll it out over here, really. So we'll be in the tail end.
The last thing about Ubisoft's conference that I want to talk about is a free-to-play game called Roller Champions. It was kind of leaked ahead of time. It looks right now to only be PC via Uplay, and you can get a demo and play it from now until the 14th of June at, I think, 11 in the morning, if I recall. Have you guys downloaded the demo by any chance?
Nope.
I intend to. I've got a soft spot for like these kind of games, but like this is a busy week. It's E3 week. I've got plenty of other things going on. Limited time demo doesn't really roll with my lifestyle.
If I admit that I've downloaded it and played like 3 matches, would you guys judge me? Because I have, and I did. It's not bad. So I have like a Surface Book 2, which is not like super duper powerful, but like it's not bad. It was pretty smooth. I don't think it's very demand intensive in terms of hardware and stuff. So it looked good. It played well. It was smooth. It has the aesthetic of kind of like a Fortnite aesthetic with like Nintendo ARMS colors and like design flair. It's basically roller derby. You're in a like a it's not an oval. Is that an oval? Like a elongated O shape.
Yeah.
And uh, there's 6 people on a field, 2 teams. You hold down the right trigger because it really wants you to use a controller to play the game. It basically tells you that in like a 5 or 6 minute tutorial video that you just watch before you play. You hold down the right bumper or the right trigger to skate. When you kind of go up the ramp, you hold the left trigger to kind of like crunch down and gain speed as if you were like skiing and kind of tuck in. There's an X button that gives you either the ability to kind of like body check someone or to try to feint when you have the ball. You don't have to do anything to pick up the ball. You just skate into it if it's free and you can take it. Y will let you pass the ball, but like randomly, as far as I can tell, you can only pass the ball if a teammate also hits Y and you kind of sync it up so you can like pass to one another or like request the ball and then get a pass. And the stadium is so big and the camera's kind of pulled out so far, it's sort of hard to see where the ball is if no one has it. And there's kind of like on-screen prompts that help out, but it takes a while to kind of get what they mean. It's sort of fun. It's sort of Rocket League-y. It's sort of not. Like I've only played 3 games. It's probably like a half an hour worth of game time. I'm not convinced it's great. I'm not like against it, but it's kind of like one of those things where it's probably more effort than it would be worth to play it and learn how to play it properly, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That passing mechanic sounds like a really good idea when you're testing it with people who know how to play and in LAN environments and that kind of thing. And as soon as you get online, like having to both push a button to pass, like, no, that's not going to happen. That sounds like a nightmare.
And you gain like Forza Horizon kind of fans as you progress rather than like an XP, like a leveling system. So like I had 1 fan when I started. I think I ended up with 56 or something by the time I'd finished. But there were people playing that had like 2,000 fans and paired with people in matchmaking who had 2 fans. So like the skill gap right now is crazy different. It's in early access basically with this. I'm going to say. So like it has promise, but I'm not sure it's a great game. It's free to play though. So like, what do you got to lose?
Yeah. It reminded me a lot of
Soccer. Yeah. Give it a try. Let me know what you think.
Yeah.
You have a couple days. Anything from Ubisoft that you want to talk about that I just kind of glazed over?
Did they end on Roller Champions? Was that what they ended on?
Yes. No, Gods and Monsters. The Zelda-like thing made by the guys who made Odyssey, which kind of just looked pretty, and I don't really get the point of it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was a really weird thing for them to end on. I like the moment that conference ended, I was pretty confused because they cut to the Rainbow Six Siege challenges, whatever it was they were doing. And
here's T-Pain.
Yeah, what, T-Pain's still around?
I guess so.
Yeah, I guess we're watching Siege now. Okay, fair enough. I'm all right with that, but it was still a weird thing to sort of just stop the conference and be like, we're done. See ya.
They didn't start with Just Dance 2020. They kind of just stuck it in the middle and had this weird like pep talk. Kind of disappointed, to be honest. Like I kind of live for Just Dance, if I'm going to be honest with you guys.
Yeah. The big question is there a Wii U version? I saw the articles. They're making Wii, but Wii U just ditched.
It skipped Wii U for Wii because everyone has a Switch that decided to buy a Wii U, and most people didn't buy a Wii U because that's what it is.
Yeah.
The other surprising thing was no Beyond Good and Evil.
Oh, but they said that. They did in the same way that like Yves Guillemot said, we're not doing a Splinter Cell, don't get your hopes up. And it turns out they didn't do a Splinter Cell, so don't get your hopes up. They said, like, we're not talking about Beyond Good and Evil, which is kind of weird in that you'd think that they would, but at least they were upfront about it. So they did like a little live stream a week before and gave you some updates. But
right,
Luke,
I would
can
be
we talk
shocked if
about
that was in
that
development
thing?
hell.
It has a cool engine, but I don't know if they have a lot of gameplay attached to it from what I saw last year, if I'm being honest. Luke, can we talk about that thing that you were sort of talking to me about, a rumor that obviously was unsubstantiated? Or do you want to just let it go?
Oh, yeah, I won't say where I heard or where they got their information from. But it was...
Am I putting you in a weird spot? You don't have to talk about
No,
it.
it was basically
Sorry.
in relation to the Predator mission in Wildlands a while back. I think it was in 2017. They randomly put like a mission where you would go and hunt the Predator, and it was amazing, which was why
Yeah, it was great
for that year. And anyway, so there was someone I know was talking to some people, and they were basically saying, like, if you thought that was really good, you know, wait till you see this other thing that's coming out. And then that led us looking into, like, all right, well, what exactly is going on here? And we thought it was going to be like a Predator game, but it turns out it was the Terminator teaser. So Terminator's coming to whatever it is they're doing.
Terminator's coming to everything. Is it in Breakpoint? It was Breakpoint, wasn't it? Yeah.
Terminator's going to be the new third man for this podcast.
Well, yeah, Breakpoint and also Gears 5. Like, you get a Terminator, you get a Terminator, you get it. Yeah. That movie better be good. Luke, I think you're probably going to take point on this one because I am exhausted and I didn't watch the PC gaming shows. So were there any highlights that you wanted to kind of talk about? Probably with Stu, because I'm just going to be useless for the next however long.
Right. Did you watch it, Stu?
No, I just followed the trailers in the morning. It was too much for me to do 2 mornings in a row.
Well, I don't know if I watch it every year, but I was like, oh, may as well. It was the last one that I watched today. And surprisingly, I thought it was really good. They showed a lot of stuff throughout the 2 hours or whatever it was. Like, they would roll out a trailer and then bring the developers on, and then the developers would talk about it for a bit with Day 9, who hosts it every year. And then they'd show like another trailer or like some gameplay stuff. So I thought that the actual event was pretty good they put on. So they kick things off with a game called Midnight Ghost Hunt, which is an asymmetrical 4 versus 4 ghost hunting game. It's got like a sort of cartoony style aesthetic to it, it looks like. And basically you've got a team of ghosts that are able to inhabit objects in the world. And ghost hunters come in and then need to try and find them, sort of like a detective game. And then at a certain point, if the ghost hunters actually don't find all these ghosts and get rid of them, then the game switches and the ghosts become like super OP and powerful. And then it's like the ghosts versus the hunters and things flip. It takes a lot of inspiration from a game called Prop Hunt, which was a Gary's Mod game from way back. And we've seen a bunch of other games sort of take that idea and run with it. In particular, there was a Prey update recently or within the last year or so that sort of took that idea and made it into a multiplayer game for Prey. So that looked really interesting.
Yeah, that I was pretty impressed by that. Like, I'm always on the lookout for like those weird kind of non-traditional multiplayer games, and yeah, that looks pretty like it has some fair promise.
Yep. Then they dragged out Funcom Games, who they did like a quick montage of what they're working on, and it was Mutant Year Zero: Seed of Evil, which is an add-on for Mutant Year Zero. I don't know if you guys have played that, but it's a really fantastic sort of XCOM inspired, like a turn-based mixed with real-time strategy game. It's really good.
I'm down with Howard the Duck XCOM. That's what I call it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's.
And then they showed Conan Unconquered really quickly, which came out last week or 2 weeks ago. I'm not a huge fan of it. It's sort of a take on They Are Billions, made by the Command and Conquer guys. I don't like it that much. What I've played. Have you guys checked it out yet?
Nah.
No.
Are there peens in it? Because Conan was all about the peens. So if there's not peens in this one, like I don't know what the appeal is.
Maybe. I just played the first level, so I'm not 100% sure. But
You don't unlock peen until level 3. Clearly.
Yeah, they're going to make you play past the Steam refund point for that.
For 2 hours.
Yeah.
Is this where they talked about Chop Chop as well, or is that
that was in this section?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The third game they talked. Sorry, the third game they talked about was called Moons of Madness, which looks like a well, sorry, they showed a trailer. It looks like a first-person sort of space horror game, and I played what was it, Observation? I think I played recently, and it kind of reminded me of I'd go for another one of those types of games again.
Is it like that? Okay, because Observation is amazing.
I don't know if it's exactly like that, but it's kind of when I saw this trailer, I was like, oh yeah, cool. I just played this other game that I really liked. It was a sort of a story-driven horror game set in space, so why not keep that going? It's nice. Kind of on my radar now. And then you mentioned, Steve, the Conan Chop Chop game, which this developer called Mighty Kingdom released some sort of trailer or something on April 1st, and everybody thought it was a joke. It was like this top-down action adventure sort of Zelda-like game featuring the Conan characters, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's a joke, ha ha ha, funny." But it turns out that's an actual game.
The joke was on us.
Yeah, we all got joked. But I just want to mention that game because it's an Australian developer based out of Adelaide.
Nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a roguelite action adventure game. I'm sure, it looks interesting at least. So people are pretty hyped about that one for something that was apparently a joke at one stage. But I'm keen to check it out.
Well, Adelaide is kind of a joke at every stage, so
Ooh. Hitting Adelaide when the one man that can defend it isn't here.
He's at E3. Fuck that guy. He's having fun, so that's...
And we're not?
About that. No, we are having fun. Anything else from PC Gaming Show?
It sure is. Is, Steve. By the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, we got our first look at some gameplay of that. That's a hugely anticipated game coming out very soon. So it looks amazing. Like the sort of world that game is already set in. I'm a fan of that series, so it's definitely going to be one to keep an eye out for. What else is there? Chivalry 2 was another surprise. I guess Mordhau is a game that everybody's been talking about.
Yeah,
right now,
their timing couldn't have been worse, hey?
Yeah, this medieval simulated sword fighting game, and Mordhau is sort of based off of Chivalry, and then so now Chivalry 2 is coming out, and it's the original creators that teaming up with Tripwire Interactive to bring a sequel to a 7-year-old, 6-year-old game, which from what they just
got a spiritual sequel.
Yeah, they just got a spiritual sequel from some other people that worked on Chivalry. So I don't know if you guys have managed to play Mordhau, but it seemed to grab a lot of that Chivalry audience, and at least Chivalry 2, it seems like they're doing some really creative things with objective-based sort of like things you need to go out and do while also defending areas and whatnot. Giant catapults and trying to break down fortress doors and that sort of stuff. So, there could be a bit of a head-on battle between Mordhau and Chivalry 2 very soon.
Which do you prefer, or is it too early to call?
I've never played Chivalry, so I'm not 100% sure. I know that like a lot of that audience sort of like walked away from it in the last couple of years. They didn't kind of like the direction that game was going in, which is why Mordhau was sort of this huge thing that just blew up out of nowhere. Like I went to that Borderlands 3 preview trip, and Mordhau released like that weekend, and everybody was talking about it on this trip. And I came back, and like everybody was streaming it, and it was all over the place. So I kind of missed that initial couple of days, but I got in and yeah, it's a really fun game.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere. Hey, like it was just the biggest thing all of a sudden.
Yep. Some more stuff here. Remnant from the Ashes, which is an action game that's inspired, or it looks like it's inspired by Dark Souls and Bloodborne, like the From Software games. This is interesting because it's made by the creators of Darksiders, like the classic THQ game that was released, started a couple years back. We'd play as like the good ones. Yeah, 1 and 2. I think 3 is being made by a different 3 and 4. I guess are being made. Anyway, yeah, like it's still to be seen. Like it just reminded me of the massive boss fights in Dark Souls, but then also, yeah, the whole like Darksiders kind of got me interested because I really like those first 2 games. So we'll see, we'll see. There's more stuff here. They Petite Desolate came out and talked about ancestors. Yeah. I still don't know what this game is. It's
And Patrice has done his job.
he's continuing this game up pretty hard because it seems like you're playing apes, millions or billions of years ago, and he's talking about like how they haven't really created a story for the game, that like people will be able to make their own stories and whatnot. Yeah, I don't know what that game is, but I'm interested about it. It looks like it's got me thinking, like the same way that Hideo Kojima has shown off all this stuff about Death Stranding, and I have no fucking clue what that game is about at all. But I'm still right.
Dude, it's about strands.
Yeah, yeah,
Strands. How do you not understand this?
yeah.
Oh, I can't wait.
Gearbox came out quickly and talked about Borderlands 3. They showed off another new character and talked about her abilities. And obviously, they released some DLC for Borderlands 2, which I quickly had a chance to play some of it today. I've only played about an hour and a half, but yeah, like I'm a big fan of Borderlands, so yeah, I'll play whatever they dish out. So yeah, definitely it's probably my most anticipated game of this year, Borderlands 3. So I'll play whatever they throw at me. And if it gives me an excuse to fire up Borderlands 2 and just sort of see what they're doing with that, then yeah, I'll jump in and play more. I guess what I'm curious to see is like how much content is actually in there. But yeah, fun. Yeah. What else is here? Man Eater, which is a single player action role playing game where you play a shark. And I don't care what anybody says, that is amazing. Yeah, this was announced a while back, and it's definitely like a game to keep an eye out for. Um, it's I think the guy described it as like a Grand Theft Auto, but you're a shark, which is
Man, I just
amazing.
no words. Hey, that just sounds ridiculous.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Yeah, it looks really dumb. Like you should watch it, but there's been some really good shark games coming out the last couple of years, and this one looks fantastic. So it could be a bit of a sleeper.
Yeah, real underrated genre, that one, the old Shark Simulator.
Yeah. The next game I'll talk about is one that, strangely, I am really excited for. It's called Telling Lies, and it is a game where you watch video footage and you basically are watching this footage and you piece together the story about what's going on. It's like a live action full motion video, which is
It's the
it
guys
is
from
like,
Her Story, right?
because it's made by the person that made Her Story. No, no, like yeah. So it's made by Sam Barlow, who created Her Story, and I really was a fan of that game. It was very well done for a like an indie game that just kind of released out of nowhere, and you were literally just watching video footage and putting together this awesome story. And I thought it was really well done. Um, this one is being produced by Logan Marshall Green, and also starring him as well, which you'd know that guy from. I like to call him Fake Tom Hardy. But you would have seen him in shows like The OC, Prometheus, The Invitation. He was in Spider-Man: Homecoming as Shocker, and most recently he was in a film called Upgrade, which was directed and written by Lee Warnell, who's an Australian filmmaker that created films such as Saw and Insidious. So very, you'd know, yeah, you'd recognize him. Like he's not someone you see in like big movie star roles, but um, he's a very good actor. Like I feel like everything I've seen him in, he's been outstanding in. Particularly if nobody has seen Upgrade, go watch that movie. It's fantastic. But yeah, this game, like, it's like a step up from Her Story, where it's telling you this story between the perspective of four different characters, and you're kind of watching them, I guess, talk to whoever there is they're talking to, but you're trying to solve the mystery of sort of what's going on. Yeah, it's if you would have told me this would be like one of the most interesting games that I saw coming out of E3, it wouldn't have been this thing. But yeah, I'm super pumped for it. It's got me really jazzed. So looks
Yeah,
cool.
like whatever he was going to do after Her Story, like, was an instant buy after that. Like, just so much goodwill built up after that one. So it's nice to know that it's actually like looks exciting. Like, looks like it's a step up.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they ended on Baldur's Gate 3, but they kind of just like didn't really like show any new footage. It was just that same teaser trailer that were revealed um, the other day, and they just kind of talked about the game a bit more. So yeah, a bit of a bummer that they ended on that one, but I guess people were sort of clamoring for anything about that game. So yeah.
Yeah, kind of fitting for the PC game show, really.
Yeah. Yeah. But I thought, yeah, I
Like,
thought they had a really good lineup. Like there was a lot of stuff there that I saw that I thought was really fun and interesting and different. I think they probably had one of the better conferences out of everyone.
yeah. No, I was just going to say there's so many games on the fringe now that like don't get a spot in. Well, there's no Sony conference anymore, so unless you're on Microsoft's show, like there's plenty of, like, for want of a better word, dregs to clean up and throw into a 2 hour show. So like,
Mm.
I think PC gaming show is going to probably be must watch next year.
Not the kind of funny show, probably. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Square, though, next. There was a lot of Final Fantasy stuff that I just didn't understand nor care about. I want to talk about four things in Square and kind of just ignore the rest. The two Final Fantasy remakes, the proper, like, super remade Final Fantasy VII, and the, like, remastered, I guess, Final Fantasy VIII.
I watched it. Yeah, it's an interesting way of doing like like old games. I think the last one that I thought was quite a unique way of doing that was Resident Evil. So the first, yeah. So I think that's like a cool way of doing that. Not only are you getting an updated like looking version of the game, but the mechanics are updated. Like it doesn't feel like an old game because like that doesn't like it doesn't translate usually that sort of stuff. So um, as someone who did not play a lot of Final Fantasy VII, I'm yeah, I'll check it out for sure.
Yeah, as someone who Yeah, just saying, as someone who did play a lot of Final Fantasy VII, like pretty much the last thing I wanted at this point was a beat for beat remake of it. So it's nice to see them. It's almost just like kind of loosely inspired by Final Fantasy VII, and here's new mechanics. Hopefully there's a whole bunch of twists on the story. They expand on a few things here and there. Like I'm really glad that this is seems to be back on the right track.
Yeah.
if you want a beat for beat thing, play Final Fantasy VIII remastered on Xbox One, PS4, PC, Switch, and I think Stadia. I can't remember because that's just like better resolution and stuff. FF7 has crazy like new combat mechanics. I'm really excited for. Sorry to cut you off, Luke. They've got like this. It's kind of like a mixture between like the turn-based of 7 and I guess like the active time battles of what, like 12, 13 onward. So you can like slash your sword with square, I think, or X, and it sort of damages, but you build up an ATB bar, and you want to build up that bar properly to either like command your other party members to do a move or to do something cool, like to use an item or a spell or like something within your materia, and that's like where the most of your damage is going to come through. And if you play it kind of the way that I think I will, you can kind of like slow down the game and kind of almost make it a turn-based thing again, but not. So I'm really excited for it. I don't quite understand it fully, but I'm super excited for what potential there is.
I think the last Final Fantasy game that I played, the main one, and I don't know what number it is was it 13? I think that had a setting in there where you could actually pause time when you stopped moving, something like that.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah, it was the Final Fantasy with the action, like an action game where it wasn't turn based, or it didn't stop.
Yeah,
but
it might have been. Was sure it wasn't 15. It might have been one of the like the 13.2 or 13.3, whatever they did with it. But
it was the ones with the guys in the car where you're pushing the car around.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 15.
Finishing off the Square press conference was a pretty divisive, depending on where you're from and how you say that, game called Marvel's Avengers, which, because it's a video game, stars Troy Baker and Nolan North, and some kind of crappy looking Avengers costumes. It's like a RPG multiplayer-esque game where you play as the Avengers, I think 5 years after they disband after a catastrophic accident. And what do you guys think about it? I'm kind of like, I was super excited for it. Now I'm a little less so seeing it.
Yeah, I think a lot of the people that were hyped or not, like looking forward to this game, thought it was going to be like an MCU tie-in, but it isn't. It's not. It's a Marvel Games property, and it's sort of set in their own universe. Like maybe Marvel Games is just kind of setting up their own. What would you call it? Marvel Games universe, and like doing his own thing, in New York, and this game is going to be set in San Francisco, on the West Coast. Yes, West Coast, and yeah, and I had to think about it on the West Coast, and like, yeah, they could just be doing their own thing, but there wasn't like a lot in there that I saw in terms of what was the gameplay. Like there were bits and pieces in there that kind of looked like gameplay, but it was kind of hard to tell what was gameplay and what was a cinematic sort of cutscene.
Yeah. I think without the MCU tie-in, like this is dead on arrival. Hey, like the movies are just like they're as big as they've been, and then you're going to release like cut price imitation looking Avengers. Like no one's going to be able to look past that, even if the game's good. And the game looked just there.
Like, I mean, but like a counterpoint to that is Spider-Man, right? Marvel's Spider-Man on PlayStation 4. So it's like the third highest selling game Sony's ever put out on PlayStation 4.
But Spider-Man's costume and stuff looked cool from day one. Like it was different, but like in a cool, like what's with the white? Like that's weird. Like it's like a small aesthetic change, but like it made me curious. Where like you look at the design of Thor or Captain America, like Iron Man's pretty much just Iron Man. Like it's hard to screw that up. But like, and same like with Black Widow, it was mostly Thor and Cap. I mean, it's like they look like fat, fit, skinny, weird. Like they just look weird. I'm like, I don't get that whole visual. And then trying to marry, like he doesn't look like Chris Evans at all. And I'm so accustomed to seeing Cap look like Chris Evans. Like it was really hard for me to process. and then like I don't know, like I'm kind of keen for it, but I'm not. The Iron Man flight looks like Anthem-y, which I'm keen for as long as they nail that. But like, yeah, you're right. Like you can't really gauge the gameplay at all from what we've seen.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the bit that whether or not this game is any good is when we start seeing some actual gameplay with HUD elements. Like, what's the actual game? Because I'm sure that they'll if Marvel Spider-Man is anything to go by and what Marvel games did with that, I think they're going to be like the storytelling. At least the story seems interesting to me as a giant fucking Marvel nerd. I'm definitely keen to see more of it. I just want to know what the game is. Like, what's the gameplay? Because the story seems really interesting. It's not based off of anything that I know in that in like the comic book series. And so yeah, I'm definitely keen. And imagine if like it turns out that no, Spider-Man is in this game and he's Marvel's Spider-Man, because they did mention like, oh, we've got some Sony exclusives, and they talked about, I guess, added content, but they also said like, oh, we've also got some other surprises in store, and that makes me think that maybe there is a Marvel Spider-Man tie into this.
And that sucks for me because, like, one, I hate platform exclusive content. This reminds me of Destiny 2 in so many ways. Like the story, like, oh, you're on top of the world, and then like the world explodes and you got to pick up the pieces. Like that's Destiny's story, and that seems like Avengers' story. So that's one comparison. Two is like there is all this content and like timed exclusivity that seems to be tied to PS4, like the beta that you can register for right now. It's only PS4, and absolutely Spider-Man's going to be in this game, but it seems like Spider-Man's only going to be in this game on PS4, which, like, let's be honest, I'm going to play it on Xbox and I'm going to be pissed off, but not pissed off enough to not like get my achievements and play the PS4 version. I'm just going to play Xbox and just.
Yeah. One thing I suppose quickly on Bethesda, I just never thought that I would see a Bethesda conference where the shooters were the important, interesting part. It was all the shooters look great. Everything else, like Fallout 76, like good luck to them. I know they've got to see this one through to the end, but like good luck. But Doom and Wolf both looked so good, and then Deathloop, looked really interesting too. So, that's what I'm excited for out of Bethesda, which I did not think I'd ever be saying 5 years ago.
And Commander Keen ruined it all. God damn it. Anyway, I think that's probably, let's put a pin in it. Thank you guys so much for your time. I appreciate it very much. Thanks to Jay and to Hamish for last night, and sorry that it didn't go as planned. I think the idea is we'll start rotating in a third person as soon as we can make sure the tech works. So you guys are totally welcome to join. It might be harder for you, Luke, now that you're in San Fran in the next little while, but or not little while, but like in a little while you're going to be in San Fran. Anyway, I'm rambling. Thank you guys so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed it. It was fun. You can find this.
It was wonderful.
Well, there you go. You can find the site on Stevivor. You can find me at swrightau on social media. Luke, how can we find you?
I'm on Twitter. My username is at Luke Lawrie, Lawrie.
And podcast,
I do a
World
podcast.
Experts.
Yeah, come on, start pimping here.
Yeah, it's called The Gap. We're on all major platforms: iTunes, Android, Windows Store, Spotify, YouTube. Or you can go to thegapodcast.com and check that out. And we talk about video games for about 2 to 3 hours every week.
I think this is the first time you've actually been on the Stevivor podcast, and I think I've been on Gap a couple times. So, have you been on once? Oh, yeah. I'm just stupid. I'm so tired, guys. Like, it's been a shitty couple days for me. I'm really happy to be dead. And thanks to Ben, who is in LA, who's just going to cover Nintendo for us, our last press conference of E3, so I can sleep, because it's at like 2 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, and blech. Stu, how can we find you?
All right. On Twitter, at Gollan, which is LLN. Other than that, Stevivor is the only place I write for, very, very occasionally these days. Children and life will do that to you, but hey, I'll always be around here to review the next rugby league game that comes out.
Yes. Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us, and we are out of here.